Portland had always been known for its gray skies and endless curtain of rain, but on the evening that changed Emma Walker's life forever, the clouds felt especially heavy, as if they were carrying stories no one had heard. Yet Emma stood inside her quiet little bookstore, the shop she had inherited from her late mother, surrounded by the soft smell of old paper, cinnamon candles, and memories that never really left her alone. The rain outside tapped against the glass door in a gentle rhythm, and Emma watched the blurred silhouettes of people hurry past with umbrellas, trying to escape the cold drizzle. She hugged her sweater tighter, feeling the loneliness that rainy evenings always brought her. It was then, right in the middle of the rain's soft music, that the door opened and Noah Carter walked into her life. He entered quietly, shaking rainwater from his brown jacket, his hair slightly messy from the wind. For a moment, Emma simply stared. There was something different about him. Not dramatic, not loud. Just a kind of peaceful sadness that made her heart slow down. Noah looked around the bookstore, his eyes landing on the walls of books, the wooden shelves, the handwritten notes taped to certain corners by Emma, and the warm lamps that gave the place a gentle golden glow. When he finally stepped closer to the counter, his voice was soft and careful, almost as if he didn't want to disturb the silence. "Hi, I'm looking for a book. Something peaceful," he said. Emma felt a small smile tug at her lips. "You came to the right place," she replied. "This shop knows how to heal people." She didn't realize that this one line, meant as a simple greeting, would become the seed of something that would transform both their lives. Noah started coming to the bookstore every day after that. Sometimes he pretended he needed a new book. Sometimes he asked for recommendations. Other times he simply walked in, sat by the window, ordered a cup of Emma's homemade cinnamon coffee, and quietly read. But Emma noticed the truth long before Noah would admit it. He wasn't coming for the books. He was coming for the peace the store offered, and slowly for Emma herself. Emma began to notice things about him. The gentle way he held books, the way his lips curved into a small smile when he found a passage he liked, the way he always sat at the same table, as if it had become his small, safe corner in a world that often felt too loud. But she also noticed the heaviness in his eyes, the exhaustion in his shoulders. Noah carried a sadness with him, one that rain seemed to deepen rather than wash away. One day, unable to stop herself, Emma asked him, "You always look sad when it rains. Why is that?" For a long moment, Noah stayed silent. His eyes stayed on the raindrops sliding down the window. Then, without looking at her, he said quietly, "Because I lost someone during the rain." Emma's breath caught, but she didn't push further. She simply nodded as if telling him she understood. Everyone carried stories they weren't ready to speak. Everyone had wounds that weren't healed enough to touch. What Noah didn't know was that Emma had her own story, one she hid behind her soft smiles. Her mother had loved the rain. She would stand outside on the porch, arms open, letting the droplets fall onto her skin. She believed rain washed away the dust of life, refreshed the soul, made hearts softer. But then the rain took her away in a sudden accident 2 years ago. Since then, every raindrop felt like both a memory and a quiet knife in Emma's chest. So, two people who had both lost something to the rain began to unknowingly find something in each other. Comfort, companionship, and a kind of fragile hope. As days passed, the tension between them grew. Not the dramatic, movie kind, but soft, slow, real. The kind where a single look held 1,000 unspoken words. Where sitting together in silence felt more intimate than any conversation. Where brushing hands while passing a book felt like electricity. One stormy evening, when wind howled outside and raindrops crashed like little stones against the windows, the bookstore's power suddenly went out. The lights flickered once, twice, and then darkness swallowed the room. Emma let out a small gasp, and Noah, who had been reading at his usual window spot, stood up immediately. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," she said, her voice echoing softly under the storm's roar. This happens sometimes. The old wiring upstairs can't handle nights like this. She lit 2 small lamps, their warm glow painting soft amber halos on the bookshelves. The store looked magical in that dim light, like a secret world hidden from the rest of Portland. As they began gathering fallen books from a toppled display, they both reached for the same novel, their hands brushing briefly. Emma froze. Noah did too. It was a small touch. Nothing more than fingers grazing. But in that tiny moment, the air between them shifted. Noah gently withdrew his hand, his breath shaky, while Emma felt a warmth spread up her arm like a quiet fire. It was the kind of moment that didn't need words. It simply stayed there, glowing silently between them. Over the next few weeks, they shared more than books. They shared slices of their lives. Emma told him about her mother, about how she still sometimes woke up expecting to hear her humming downstairs. Noah told her about his past engagement, how he had been so focused on work that he didn't realize his relationship was crumbling. His fiancée left, telling him he didn't know how to love Noah, swallowed hard at the memory. "I still think maybe she was right," he said, eyes heavy with guilt. Emma shook her head, stepping closer. "No, people break because they care too much, not because they're wrong." And the way she said it made something inside Noah soften, something that had been frozen for a long time. Their routine deepened. Late-night calls, weekend walks, coffee breaks, shared laughter. Noah would bring her pastries every morning. Emma would slip handwritten quotes into the books he bought. Their hearts grew closer without permission, without planning. But love is never a smooth river. It always tests before it rewards. One afternoon, Emma walked towards her shop after picking up supplies from the local market. As she approached the store, she saw Noah outside, standing with a woman. A beautiful woman. Someone polished, someone from his past. Emma watched as the woman touched Noah's arm, tears in her eyes. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but she saw the pain in their expressions. She saw the intimacy of old memories between them. She saw everything she feared. Emma froze. Something inside her cracked quietly, painfully. She didn't wait for an explanation. She turned around, walked away, and disappeared down the street before Noah even noticed she was there. When Noah realized Emma was gone, panic struck him. He ran after her, calling her name, but she didn't look back. She didn't answer his calls that night. She didn't open the store for the next 3 days. Noah came every morning and sat outside on the wooden bench, his face tired, his eyes red. He left notes under the door, asking her to just talk, to give him a chance to explain, to let him in. But Emma's heart felt too heavy. She had spent too much of her life being afraid of abandonment to risk it again. After 3 painful weeks, when the sky broke open with one of the heaviest rains Portland had seen that month, Noah stood outside her store again, this time drenched to the bone, trembling, exhausted but determined. "Emma," he shouted over the rain. "Please, open the door." Inside, Emma stood frozen, tears running down her face. Something in his voice, desperation, sincerity, forced her legs to move. She opened the door slowly. He looked at her, rainwater dripping from his hair, his clothes clinging to him, but his eyes were full of raw truth. "It wasn't what you think," he said, breath shaky. "She just came to apologize. She wanted closure. I didn't ask her to come. And I told her I've moved on. I told her about you." Emma's lips trembled. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" "Because I didn't know how to say it without sounding like I was dragging my past into our future," Noah whispered. "And because you were never the second choice. You were the only choice I ever made after I finally understood what real love feels like." And that broke Emma. Her tears fell freely as she stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him, her face pressed against his wet chest. Noah held her tightly, as if letting her go would cost him his life. In that moment, the rain no longer felt like a reminder of pain. It felt like a promise of healing. Months later, when Emma received a letter from her family attorney informing her that her late mother's lakeside cabin in Washington had officially been transferred to her, she felt a mix of dread and longing. She had avoided the cabin ever since her mother's death, but Noah encouraged her gently. "We can face it together," he said. So they drove to the quiet lake one cold weekend. The cabin was exactly as Emma remembered. Wooden porch, wind chimes dancing in the air, pine trees stretching endlessly around the lake, and the calm water reflecting the cloudy sky. Inside, everything was untouched, as if time had paused. Her mother's recipe notes on the kitchen board, the rocking chair facing the lake, the family photos lined neatly on the wall Emma broke down, and Noah held her without saying a word. He didn't tell her to be strong. He didn't tell her to stop crying. He simply stood with her, holding the pieces of her heart together. That evening, under soft rain, Noah led her to the porch. "Do you hear it?" he asked. "Hear what?" she whispered. "The rain," he said. "It doesn't hurt anymore, not when you're not alone."